How's my homework coming along? Well, thank you for asking that. So far, I have everything written except a couple things. Conclusion and epilogue is chapter 27, so that's going to be interesting, but yeah. It's the intro, ain't it? Water bottle! Hello everyone, my name's Dunsboy and welcome back to The Little Prince, or should I say we should say goodbye to The Little Prince, because today is the final episode, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. But yeah, today is the final episode of The Little Prince, it's kind of sad, boo-hoo-hoo. And, yeah, without further ado, let's rip off this band-aid, and I was told I'm gonna cry, and I'm not known for crying, but I'll cry, just for you. Now that my crying's done, let's begin this episode with Chapter 23. Good morning. Good morning, said the little prince. Good morning, said the sales clerk. This was the sales clerk who sold pills invented to quench thirst. Swallow one a week and you'll no longer feel the need to drink. Why do you sell these pills? They save so much time, the sales clerk said. Experts have calculated that you could save 53 minutes a week. And what do you do with those 53 minutes? Whatever you like. If I had 53 minutes to spend as I liked, the little prince said to himself, I'd walk very slowly toward a water fountain. Chapter 14. It was now the 8th day since my crash landing in the desert, and I'd listened to the story about the sales clerk as I was drinking the last drop of my water supply. I said to the little prince, your memories are very pleasant, but I haven't yet prepared my plane. I have nothing left to drink, and I, too, would be glad to walk very slowly toward the water fountain. My friend the fox told me, little fellow, this has nothing to do with the fox. Why? Because we're going to die of thirst. The little prince didn't follow my reasoning and answered me, it's good to have had a friend even if you're going to die. Myself, I'm very glad to have that fox for a friend. He doesn't realize the danger. I said to myself, he's never hungry or thirsty. A little sunlight is enough for him. But the little prince looked at me as though he answered my thought. I'm thirsty too. Let's find a well. I made an exasperated gesture. It was absurd looking for a well at random in the vastness of the desert. But even so, we started walking. When he walked for several hours in silence, night fell, and stars began to appear. I noticed them in a dream, so being somewhat feverish on account of my thirst. The little prince's words danced in my memory. So you're thirsty too, I asked. But he didn't answer my question. He merely said to me, water can also be good for the heart. I didn't understand his answer, but I had said nothing. I knew by this time that it was no questioning him. He was tired. He sat down. I sat down next to him. And after the silence, he spoke again. The stars are beautiful because of the flower you don't see. I answered, yes, of course. And without speaking another word, I stared into the ridges of the sand in the moonlight. The desert is beautiful, the little prince added. And this was true, and I always loved the desert. You sit down on the sand dune and you see nothing. You hear nothing, and yet something shines. Something sings in that silence. That makes the desert beautiful. What makes the desert beautiful? The little prince said. Is that it hides a well somewhere? I was surprised by suddenly understanding what the mysterious radiance of the sands. When I was a little boy, I lived in an old house, and there was a legend that the treasure was buried in it somewhere. Of course, no one was ever able to find the treasure. Perhaps no one even searched. But I cast a spell over the whole house. But the house was hid a secret in the depths of its heart. Yes, I said to the little prince. Whether it's a house or the stars or the desert, what makes them beautiful is invisible. I'm glad, he said. You agree with my fox. As the little prince was falling asleep, I picked him up in my arms and started walking again. I was moved. It was as if I was carrying a fragile treasure. It barely seemed to me that there's nothing more fragile on earth. By the light of the moon, I gazed at the pale forehead, those who closed eyes, and those locks of hair trembling in the wind. And I said to myself, what I'm looking at is only a shell. What is most important is invisible. At this lips parted of the half-smile, he said to himself again, what moves me so deeply is this sleeping little prince's loyalty to a flower, the image of the rose shining within him deep like a flame within a lamp, and even while he was asleep. And I realized that he was even more fragile than I thought. Lamps must be protected. A gust of wind can blow them out. And talking on like that, I found a well at daybreak. Chapter 25. The little prince said, people start out on the express trains. They no longer know what they're looking for. Then they all get excited and rush around in circles. And he added, it's not worth the trouble. The well he had come to was not like the wells of the Sahara. The wells of the Sahara were no more than holes dug in the sand. This one looked more like a village well, but there's no village here, and I thought I was dreaming. It's strange, I said to the little prince. Everything is ready, the pulley, the bucket, and the rope. He laughed, cast the rope, and the pulley working, and the pulley groaned away in old weather vane groans, and the wind was asleep in a long time. Hear that? Said the prince. We've awakened this well, and it's singing. I didn't want him to tire himself out. Let me do it, I said to him. It's too heavy for you. Slowly, I hoisted the bucket to the edge of the well to set it down with great care. The song of the pulley continued in my ears, and I saw the sun glisten on the still trembling water. I'm thirsty for that water, said the little prince. Let me drink some. And I understood that he was looking for it. I raised the bucket to his lips. He drank. He closed his eyes. It was sweet as a feast. That water was more than merely a drink. It was born of our walk beneath the stars, of a song of the pulley and the effort of my arms. It did the heart like a present. And when I was a little boy, the Christmas tree lights and the music of midnight mass, the tenderesses of people's smiles made up in the same way the whole radiance of the Christmas present I received. People where you live, the little prince said, grow 5,000 roses in one garden, yet they don't find what they're looking for. They don't find it, I answered. And yet, they're looking for what could be found in a single rose or a little water. Of course, I answered. And the little prince added, but eyes are blind. You have to look with the heart. I have drunk the water. I could breathe easy now. The sand at the daybreak is honey-colored, and the color is making me happy, too. Why, then, did I feel so sad? You must keep your promise, said the little prince, sitting up again beside me. What promise? You know, a muzzle for my sheep. I'm responsible for this flower. I took a prong out of my pocket. The little prince glanced at them and laughed as he did. Your baobabs look more like cabbages. Oh, I've been so proud of the baobabs. Your fotch has ears. It looks more like horns, and they're so long. And he laughed again. You're being very unfair, my little prince, he said. I never knew how to draw anything but boas from the side and boas from the outside. Oh, that'll be all right, he said. Children understand. So then I drew a muzzle, and a heavy heart I handed it to him. You've made plans I don't know about, but he didn't answer. He said, you know my fall to earth? Tomorrow will be the first anniversary. And then after silence, he continued, I landed very near here, and then he blushed again. And once again, without understanding why, I felt a strange grief. However, a question occurred to me. Then, it wasn't by accident that the morning I met you 8 days ago, you're walking that way all alone 1,000 miles from any inhabited region. You were returning to the place you fell to earth. The little prince blushed again. Then I added hesitantly, perhaps on account of the anniversary. The little prince blushed once more and never answered questions. And then someone blushes, he doesn't mean yes. I said to the little prince, I'm afraid, but he answered, you must get to work now. You must get back to your engine. I'll wait here. Come back tomorrow night. But if I wasn't reassured, I remembered the fox. You risk tears to let yourself be tamed. Chapter 26. Beside the well, there was a ruin, an old stone wall. When I came back from my work on the next evening, I caught sight of the little prince in the distance. He was sitting on top of the wall, legs dangling as I heard him talking. Don't you remember? He was saying. This isn't exactly the place. Another voice must have answered him then, for he replied, oh yes, it's right there. It just wasn't the place. I continued walking toward the wall. I still could neither see nor hear anyone, yet the little prince answered again. Of course, you'll see where my tracks begin in the sand, but wait for me there. I'll be there tonight. I was 20 yards from the wall and still saw no one, and the little prince said after silence, Your poison is good. You sure it won't make me suffer long? I stopped short in my heart pounding, but I still don't understand. Now go away, the little prince said. I want to get down from here. And then I looked down toward the foot of the wall and gave it a great start. There, coiled in front of the little prince, there were yellow snakes that would kill you in 30 seconds. As I dug into the pocket for my revolver, I stepped back. With the noise I made, the snake followed with the sand trickling fountain, and even hurrying, slipped away between the stones with a faint metallic sound. I reached for the wall just in time to catch my little prince in my arms, his face white as snow. What's going on here? You're talking to snakes now? I had loosened a yellow scarf that he always wore. I had moistened his temples and made him drink some water, and now I didn't dare ask him anything more. He gazed at me in serious expression and put his arms around my neck. He felt his heart beating like dying birds. Then it was shot. When it's been shot, he said to me, I'm glad you found the matter with your engine. Now you'll be able to fly again. How did you know? I was just coming to tell him that I've been successful beyond all hope. And then he didn't answer my question. All he said was, I'm leaving today too. And then sadly, and much further, it's much more difficult. I realized that something extraordinary was happening. I was holding him in my arms like a little child, yet it seemed to me he was dropping headlong into the abyss, and I could do nothing but to hold him back. His expression was very serious now, lost and remote. I have your sheep, and I have a creep for it in the muzzle. He said. He smiled sadly. I waited a long time. I could feel he was reviving a little. Little fellow, you were frightened. Of course he was frightened, and he laughed a little. I'll be much more frightened tonight. Once again, I felt chilled by the sense of something irreparable, and I realized I couldn't bear the thought of never hearing that laugh again. For me, it was like a spring of fresh water in the desert. Little fellow, I want to hear you laugh again. But he said to me, tonight, it'll be a year. My star will be above the place where I fell last year. Little fellow, it's a bad dream, isn't it? All of this is conversation with the snake and the meeting place of the star. But he didn't answer my question. All he said was, the unimportant thing is what you can't be seen. Of course. It's the same as for the flower. If you love a flower that gives you a star, then it's good. At night, you'll look up in the sky. All stars are blossoming. Of course. It's the same for the water. The water you gave me to drink was like music on account of the pulley and the rope. You remember, it was good. Of course. At night, you look up at the stars. It's too small where I live for me to show you where my star is. It's better that way. My star will be one of the stars for you. So you will look at something at all of them. They'll all be your friends. And besides, I have a present for you. He laughed again. Oh, little fellow, I love hearing that laugh. That'll be my present. Just that. It'll be the same as for the water. What do you mean? People have stars, but they aren't the same. For travelers, the stars are guides. For other people, they're nothing but tiny lights. And for all others, for scholars, the problems for my businessmen, they were gold. But all those stars are silent stars. You, though, you'll have stars like nobody else. What do you mean? When you look at the sky at night, since I'll be living in one of them, since I'll be laughing in one of them, for you it'll be as full as the stars are laughing. You have the stars that can laugh. And then you laughed again. And when you're consoled, everyone eventually is consoled, you'll be glad you've known me. You'll always be my friend. You'll feel laughing with me. And you'll open your window sometimes just for the fun of it. And your friends will be amazed to see you laughing while you're still looking up at the skies. And you'll tell them, yes, it's the stars that always made me laugh. And they'll think you're crazy and the nasty trick I played on you. And he laughed again. It'll be as if I had given you, instead of the stars, a lot of tiny bells that know how to laugh. And he laughed again. He grew serious once more. Tonight, don't come. I won't leave you. It'll look as if I'm suffering. It'll look like a little as if I'm dying. It'll look that way, but don't come see me. Don't see that. It's not worth the trouble. I won't leave you. But he was anxious. I'm telling you this on account of the snake. He mustn't bite you. Snakes are nasty sometimes. They bite just for fun. I won't leave you. Then something reassured him. It's true. They don't have enough poison for a second bite. That night, I didn't see him leave. He got away without making a sound. When I managed to catch up with him, he was walking fast with determination. All he said was, you're here, and he took my hand, but he was still anxious. You were wrong to come. You'll suffer. It'll look as I'm dead. It won't be true. I said nothing. You'll understand. It's too far. I can't take this body with me. It's too heavy. I said nothing. But I'll have an old abandoned shell. There's nothing sad about an old shell. I said nothing. He was a little disheartened now, but he made one more effort. It'll be nice, I'll be looking at the stars too. All the stars and all the wells of the rusty pulley. All stars will pull water for me to drink. I said nothing. And it'll be fun. You'll have 500 million little bells. I'll have 500 million springs of fresh water. And he too said nothing because he was weeping. Here's the place. Let me go alone. And he sat down because he was frightened. And then he said, my flower, I'm responsible for her, and she's so weak and so naive. She has 4 ridiculous thorns to defend her against the world. I sat down too because I was unable to stand any longer. He said, there, that's all. He hesitated a little longer, then stood up. He took a step. I couldn't move. There had been nothing but a yellow flash close to an ankle. He remained motionless for an instant. He didn't cry out. He fell gently, like the way a tree falls. There wasn't even a sound because of the sand. Chapter 27. And now, of course, it's been 6 years already. Never told this story before. The friends who saw me again were very glad to see me alive. I was sad, but I told them. It's fatigue. Now I'm somewhere consoled. That is, not entirely. But I know he did get back to his planet because at the daybreak I didn't find his body. It wasn't much a heavy body. And at night I loved listening to the stars. It was like 500 million little bells. But something extraordinary has happened. When I drew the muzzle for the little prince, I forgot to put on a leather strap. He could never have fastened it to a sheep, and then I wonder what happened there on the planet. Maybe the sheep had eaten the flower. Sometimes I tell myself, of course not. Little Prince puts his flower under the glass, and he keeps it close watch over the sheep. Then I'm happy, and all the stars laugh sleepily. Sometimes I tell myself anyone might be distracted once in a while, and that's all it takes. One night, he forgot to put it under the glass, or else sheep got without making any noise during the night. Then the bells were all changed to tears. It was all a great mystery for you who love the little prince too. As for me, nothing in the universe can be the same if somewhere, no one knows where, a sheep will never saw, has, or has not eaten the rose. Look up at the sky. Ask yourself, has the sheep eaten the flower or not? And you will see everything changes. And no grown-up will ever understand how such a thing would be so important. That was sad. It didn't make me cry, but that was sad. That was decently sad. Poor little prince. Oh no. Poor little guy. Also, that's a really interesting way of showing that because there's no body because of the boa constrictor, aka the small yellow snake. So that answers that. And yeah, that was really sad. And then like the snake, and then it was just like, supposed to be one of the other characters, but it turns out to come out and bite him. And then the explanation of humans and stuff. And wow, that was sad. That was a great little story. I'm not gonna cry. I'm a man. But yeah, that was a sad little story. All in all. So sorry I had to cut this kind of weirdly into the reading schedule. We'll be back to Minecraft very soon, I promise. But yeah, so we'll be back. We're gonna do the full read of this, and then yeah. But yeah, I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. I hope you guys get better, because that was a really sad little story of the little prince. And I'll see you guys next time.